rolling?
Yes.
All right, why don't you go ahead and state your full name for us?
I'm Mary Quillin,
Spell the last name,
Quillin.
just in case we can't read the wagon on it to get the spelling. Okay, this isn't your first wagon trek. You want me to tell me a little bit about what else you've done?
Well, we came across Iowa last year from Nauvoo on the first section of the Mormon Trail.
Now, from what I understand, you've had a bit of an accident there. Can you just tell me kind of what happened?
4 days out from the end, I was on the ground holding the horses while he went for water. It was a water stop and lunch stop. And a team behind us ran off and went down the ditch beside our horses, and they spooked and decided to follow them. And they went down a driveway which turned my direction, so I had nowhere to go. And they stepped on my foot and knocked me on my back and pulled the wagon over the top of me.
What did that do to you?
I had 3 broken ribs, 2 breaks in my pelvis, a cracked vertebrae, and a broken foot. Many contusions.
How long did it take you to recover from that sort of thing?
I walked for the first time without crutches or a walker 2 months after I got out of the hospital, or 2 months after the accident.
Now, you're back out here doing the whole trail just a year later. That's pretty amazing. Talk about your ability to do that, or your motivation for doing that. That's quite amazing.
Well, we started out to make the whole trip and really never changed our minds. And I spent all winter recovering in the hopes I would be able to make the trip, and I was sure I could when spring came, so we did.
Now, how hard has it been for you this time around?
Not really very hard at all. The more I exercise, the better I feel, and I think I'll be much stronger at the end.
Now, this, you kind of say it like it's something easy, just decide to take this 1,000-mile trek, What is the motivation behind doing this? Where does that come from to keep going in the face of...
Well, I've always loved the West. I've been back and forth across the West a lot because my brother lived in California when I was a kid. And Chuck fell in love with the West too. And we've always enjoyed Western things, Western history. And when the opportunity came up, when we heard about it 5 years ago, he said immediately, I'm going. And everything he's done up to now has been towards that trip. He retired 3 years early, bought the team, built the wagon, so we could go.
Was there something about the first leg of the trek that made you want to come back besides just deciding to finish it?
Well, when we first thought of the trip, we thought of it as an entire trip from the beginning. We never thought of it as just going across Iowa. We've already seen all of Iowa, so that wasn't the interesting part. It was the West that we were looking forward to. So that's the part we were anxious to finish.
Now, what has been the general, any kind of trip you take, there's a certain feel to it, there's a certain something you take from it. How would you describe just the atmosphere, the feeling, or what you've taken from this trail?
Oh, we've made so many close friends, lifetime friends, met so many wonderful people, and it's just been like a little group with a special memory that we'll always keep.
It started out as a trip.
Just something to do in your spare time is where it started out. But meeting other people with their ancestry that came across, and it really motivates you to see their concern about it. We have no ancestry that made the trip themselves, but other people's ancestry, I don't know, it does something to you. It's hard to explain. It's not just a trip anymore.
This has been the same type of thing.
Right. Started out as a walk in the country, and it's become a very moving experience.
I guess what I'm trying to, and I'm not trying to, if this isn't the case, it doesn't matter. I'm just trying to figure out if there's a connection with, you come out on a trek kind of out of the blue, you get run over by a wagon, you're in the hospital. Was it your original decision to go that you just said, by George, we'll stick it out? Or was there something that brought you back? I mean, if it had been a different experience on the trail, would you have come back? Or is there just not a relation there?
Well, perhaps if it had been an unpleasant experience, we wouldn't have come back, but it was a pleasant experience. We enjoyed it greatly. We enjoyed the people, we enjoyed the history. We've read the history now, a lot of the history of the Mormon Trail. It's the type of feeling you get. My ancestry came from Norway, and when they talk about Ellis Island, I know the feeling they get by following in their ancestors' footsteps. If I was to go to Ellis Island, I would have the same feeling that they have, I'm sure.
Right. Well, thank you very much for talking with us. And
You're welcome.
I'm still amazed that you.
Wanted to see all those people who put so much time in praying for my recovery again. And just be back with them.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.